Hey guys, KiwiSylveon, and welcome back to Seduce Me, but this time it's the epilogue for James, or Restral, or Bastro as it says. And this is the one that I said make me turn red as a tomato. Oh boy, let's go. First off, Restral, or James, is paired with Ellie, and I don't have my glasses, so I cannot start out acting all nerdy. Or I can, but it's like a habit of mine to push up glasses when I'm trying to get into Allie's personality. Imagine, if you will, you live in a gorgeous mansion with the man of your dreams. You could do anything you have ever wanted, and there was nothing in the world that could hold you back. Well, that was my life. I was the granddaughter of a CEO and somehow earned his estate upon his death. The man of my dreams just happened to be waiting for me in the lobby of the mansion as I moved in. Mind you, he was mortally wounded and he turned out to be a demon, but that's beside the point. The man of my dreams, James, was smart, kind, caring, and very capable of taking care of not only me, but his 4 younger brothers. The 5 of them lived with me for a short while, making the house as lively as ever. However, I only need James at my side, and soon enough, the younger 4 brothers left us to our own devices, wanting to start their lives of their own. Living with James was like a dream come true. He always cooked breakfast and helped me keep the house clean, and during his free time, he tended the garden. The other times, when he and I would eat in the gazebo, there were often times when he and I would eat in the gazebo outside, enjoying the sun and fresh air. Work-wise, James has taken the position of CEO at my grandfather's toy company and helped expand it to new heights. He did try his very best to make it the best company and it could be, and wound up raising more money for charity than any other company on the planet. Needless to say, I was proud of him, and I was happy to know that my grandfather's company was in good hands. I was even more happy to call him mine. James and I had lived a dreamlike romance for 1.5 years. The thought of marriage often crossed my mind, but I left it to the hands of fate. If James was going to propose, then he would do it when he was ready. Nevertheless, the conversations we had were interesting, to say the least. One day, I found him lounging in the library, lost in a familiar book. With a smirk, I crept inside and peered over his shoulder at the chapter he was reading. "You really like that book, don't you, James?" Jumping in his seat, James snapped out of his train of thought and stared up at me, surprised, making me laugh. I gripped the chair to keep from falling onto my knees from the hilarity.
Love!
Good afternoon to you too, James. Enjoying that story? I smiled playfully at James before taking the book out of his hands and looking at the cover. I was right. Love and romance, a study of intimacy. Now, like I said, it's 1.5 years, so she's matured. She's no longer the stressed out little teenager that I made her out to be in the first. She's not that no more. She ain't that no more. James cleared his throat as he shook his head and relaxed in his chair, trying to calm down from his son's surprised outburst. You keep coming back to this book no matter how many times you read. Why?
It's an interesting commentary on romance. A writer falling in love with their manager and dealing with her own internal feelings is an interesting topic to read about.
Truly? And remember, Allie's like a nerd, and she likes to know it all, sort of. I handed the book back to James before walking around and sitting on the empty seat across from his. James nodded and placed the book on the table between us while he crossed his legs.
Remember, demons don't fully understand love. We may experience it, but we don't know it well enough to label it as such.
But you understand it, right?
Of course, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't continue to read about it.
I guess you're right. But what does reading that book over and over do for your research on it? James chuckled and leaned back in his chair.
That book in particular shows the balance between love and lust, which, by contrast, is an emotion demons understand completely.
Completely? I'm sure there are some things even you don't understand if demons don't understand love. Provoked by my statement, James raised an eyebrow with an almost amused grin.
Is that a challenge?
Uh-oh. For a moment, I remembered James's powerful personality. This was a challenge of his intelligence, and such a dare would not remain undominated for long under his keen eye. As I mulled over the idea in the following seconds of silence, I could only find myself entertained by the idea of him trying to prove himself to me. To that, I smirked and lifted my chin a bit in a small taunting display. And if it was... Uh-oh. Ah! Hi! 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 Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that's up. Now goodbye. 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 I did not know that would pop up. The moment James smirked at me and licked his lips ever so slightly made me question everything in the form of loud screaming in my head. What did I just throw myself into? Still, my face remained unfazed as I continued to stand my ground as James replied.
Then tell me, what could I possibly not know?
I stared at James for the longest time before settling into my seat, crossing my legs. If this was going to be a lesson in romance, then I was going to be the this was going to be the one where I was the teacher. Alright then. Do you know what the sexiest thing a person could do for another?
That's a bit specific.
I promise there's only one answer. That was a lie. There's obviously more than one answer, but I hoped that he would draw the answer from our relationship rather than just form a generic answer. Either way, I would get him. James sat back and closed his eyes, thinking to himself and assembling his answer. As he opened his eyes, he smiled.
Make them feel cared for and cherished beyond anything else in the world.
His answer surprised me. I imagined him trying to weasel out of the answer with a gesture or a specific action. As his words hit me, my cheeks burned a soft pink in agreement. It was rather sexy to think about. The feeling of his hands along my body would make me feel like a goddess worthy enough to be ravished. The kisses on my skin would paint me in a glow of love and compassion. The way he held me always sent me to cloud 9. He won this round. I nodded, pursing my lips as his smirk grew a bit. He interlaced his fingers and placed them on his knee, awaiting my next question. This had become a game of trivia almost. Would he know all the answers? I pushed forward, now determined to prove that I was right. Okay, but what about sexy clothes?
What about them?
What color clothes should a person wear to attract someone? Another trick question. It was all a matter of opinion. It didn't take long for James to reply.
It depends on the person they wish to attract.
As James's eyes traveled up and down my form, I suddenly felt naked.
I personally would love to see you in black. Perhaps gold or red.
Thank you? Damn it. He won again, but at least I knew what to wear if I ever wanted to seduce him into bed. I shook my thoughts out and knuckled down on my determination. I would not be beaten. I crossed my legs and leaned over on my knees, face as stone cold as a statue. James raised an amused eyebrow once again as I threw a volley of questions at him, hoping to throw him off. Giving or receiving?
Giving.
Nightgowns or teddies?
Nothing at all.
Kitchen or shower?
Both.
I was going crazy at the ideas forming in my head. This game of question and answer became one that heightened my libido in most shameless of ways. Still, I would not give in. The questions became about our relationship more than just general romance and lust. The more he answered, the more I learned about him. I would use his responses to my advantage later, but for now, the harvest for answers continued. Sensual or rough?
Depends on how we feel.
Holy... There's that deep voice, holy shit. Fast or slow?
Start slow, then get faster.
Hello. Handcuffs or blindfolds?
Both.
can't help it. Reaction. I needed a little laugh before it got too steamy. James instantly covered his mouth with his hand, the slip escaping his lips and making his true feelings known alongside the embarrassed blush crossing his cheek. As his hands were running in my ears, my entire face became beet red. What? James was into both handcuffs and blindfold? What about other kinky things? Oh god, here we go. Whips, rods? Oh boy. James shook his head, so he listened to throat of violent play. Which is good. Being God Master? Yeah, she would go back to like a little squeaky voice every now and then when she gets uncomfortable, because, hey, she's a girl. We all do it. We all go back into a little high pitch when we're in a little issue. Silence. It made sense. Him liking to play honest dominance. BDSM. Oh, fuck. James closed his eyes and signed to his palm before fell to his lap and lowered his head. As he spoke, I could tell he was being frank with me, dissolving his shame as he was speaking to the one he loved. Aww. James!
It's not something demons do, but I enjoy learning about it, and
holy shit.
Imagining it.
Where did you learn about it? James chuckled softly, shaking his head.
A novel I read a long time ago. It was a study on fictional romance and the publishing of erotica in the last 10 years. It wound up in the piles of books I read when we first came to the human world.
That explained it. However, I almost didn't expect it from James. Eric, maybe, but not James. Looking at him, I could tell James was trying to come to terms with releasing this information to me. While he was talking to the one he loved, he knew that the topic was a pretty big one to drop in the game we were previously playing. I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable, so I spoke up again. Are you interested in trying? For a moment, James didn't answer. When he did, I could tell he was being open about it, now that I knew his true feelings for it.
I would be lying if I said no.
Hello. And Ellie's brain goes bye-bye at that. James looked back at me, his expression neutral in an attempt to remain calm. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. This game definitely taught me a lot new things about James. Would I pursue this information later on and try it with him? That was up to me and to decide later on. For now, though, our game had ended, and it was unclear who had won between us. I had gotten my answers, but the last question threw both of us off. How would we determine the winner? I finally decided to stand up and walk over to James, letting him watch me as I sat on his lap, wrapping my arms around his neck and leaning my forehead against his. Maybe you do know everything. James finally relaxed and nuzzled my nose with his before kissing me softly.
Well, not everything.
High sexy music. Been a while. How you doing? Huh?
I still have a lot to learn about you.
Me? Hello. James stared into my eyes, leaning back and removing his glasses. As his whiskey eyes began to glow a soft golden color, I gasped as he smiled playfully at me.
It's only fair that I ask you the same questions that you asked me. Don't you think?
I stared wide-eyed at James. Was he seriously going to ask me the same questions I asked him? James chuckled lowly.
What? Are you afraid now?
No?
Good. Because I don't intend to be gentle.
Fuck. And that's pretty much what happened. And I can just picture it in my dirty, dirty mind. They go at it like 3 times. I don't know what the stamina. I don't know the stamina between the MC and the incubi at this rate. I don't know how long they can last. Perhaps they could go 4 rounds. Perhaps they could go 10. Who knows? I don't know. But they might do it once on the desk, once against the wall, and probably once on the way up to the bedroom. And then in the bedroom. Or my brain's just coming through with a lot of different things. But yeah, that is James's epilogue, a lesson in romance. But this is a yeah, that's what I say. Anyhow, I will be back with Eric's, and it's a little bit calmer than the last one, but this one, whew, and the sexy music's still going. Way to go, Michaela. James is surprised me. I can't wait to get him and seduce me too. I might start him soon. Bye!